Hello, everybody. Tonight, the Bidens have got some bad news. This is huge. This is bombshell pertaining to Biden, his association with his son, and the trials that he's facing, and how Joe Biden is going to be tied to Hunter Biden in the trials. We've got those details for you in just a moment. We also have it where Biden just admitted in a off-script speech today, where he wasn't following the teleprompter, that the entire Inflation Reduction Act, the almost $400 billion that was spent to reduce inflation, was a big lie. He even said we should have just named it what it was. It was a climate bill. It was basically the Green New Deal revised with a new name. I honestly don't even know how this guy is still in office, lying to the American people the way that he has done. But on the other side, the good news is that Trump has had a huge victory with the delaying sentence for for the New York hush money trial. This is a big victory. It's been delayed till after the November 5th election. It's been delayed to November 26th. The big thing is that we're going to get into the details of this. They found massive errors in the evidence and now have asked for more time to try to revise the entire lawsuit. This is huge. I think it's going to get thrown out. Let me know your thoughts. Also, this is also shaking up the entire Democratic Party. Alan Dershowitz, lifelong Democrat, has just come out and said that he is no longer a Democrat, that the Democrats have gone too far progressive, and he is leaving the party officially. Everyone is rocked by this statement and wondering what's going to happen with the other Democrats that also are leaving the party. So big news today. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. Thank you to all of our new members. We have Jim Morris, Barbara Bonaparte that have joined on this stream. That everybody, we are trying to do something big with this channel. We want to do more than just report the news and give you the top news every day. We want to make a positive impact in our communities and also in this world. So to do that, if you go to the description, I have two links. Please subscribe, but also there's a join. If you go to that link where it says join here, click this link. There's a black subscribe button, and right next to it is join here. If you join the community, it's only 99 cents. It's less than $1 a month. But what we're going to do is we're going to take that money and we're going to go do some positive things in this world and make some positive just change. We're going to give back to the community, and you're going to see it. We're going to do videos of it, and this community is going to give back in a huge, huge way. I love it. Just want to say thank you to everybody that is watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. And just want to say thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation to help support me and my family. But let's go into this top news. This is huge. Check it out.
Now, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General and UC Berkeley Law Professor, John Yoo. John, just your initial reaction.
This is a big victory for Donald Trump. He's had a string of them now. He won at the Supreme Court. He won in finding the special counsel unconstitutional. He's won in the January 6th case, which has now been delayed, I think, well into 2025.
Huge.
And now he just won in New York City, which was the only case to get to a verdict, but was also the weakest legal case. Judge Merchan here has bowed to political reality. There was no way he could make any decision about sentencing that wouldn't affect the campaign. But what he still has to do is bow to legal reality. There is a passage in the Supreme Court's immunity decision, which was almost a complete victory for Donald Trump, which directly addressed this case and basically said it had to be retried because it tried to use official actions by the president to convict him of something that he was doing not as president. The court said judges can't do that. So Judge Merchan eventually, either here or on appeal, is going to have to throw out this jury verdict and have a new trial.
Did you hear that?
How it will work?
Like, this is bombshell news, bad news for Biden, because the whole, remember, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, sent their third highest ranking official to the assistant, to be an assistant DA with Alvin Bragg to persecute Trump. Now that they found out all this stuff, they said that we're coming after him. Biden and all them are going to be shown for what they truly were. They were targeting Trump.
Let's say post-election, he issues a verdict, and would the Trump team have to then officially appeal it for him to say, okay, it's tossed out? How does it work mechanically?
Great question, Charles. Judge Merchan has pushed the sentencing date to November 26. He actually has all this time between now and then to realize that he's going to have to ultimately throw out the old verdict and order a new trial because of the Supreme Court's immunity decision. But suppose that Donald Trump loses. People may not be as focused on this case as much. This judge might realize the error of his ways and go ahead and get a new trial going. But suppose Donald Trump wins, then all the legal problems are going to be compounded. Is Judge Merchan going to sentence to jail someone who's going to be the president of the United States in just a few weeks after the November 26th sentencing date? This opens up a whole can of new legal problems that our country has never had to face before, because this judge has pushed forward to accelerate to get to a verdict on a case that was the weakest of all of the 4 prosecutions of former President Donald Trump.
John, let's say Donald Trump wins and he's inaugurated in January. Does a judge, any judge, have the ability to take a sitting United States president and sentence them to prison?
That is the hard question that our system has never faced before, Charles. It's a great question, but which we will have to face because of this judge. Now, this judge could avoid this whole problem by saying, yes, Supreme Court, I realize this was a mistake. I've read your decision. I'm going to throw out the verdict and have a new trial. He could even say, and we will suspend that new trial until President Trump is done with his time in office. But given the way this judge has acted so far, accelerating all the proceedings to get them in before the election, to get the verdict in before the election, he might go ahead and sentence President Trump anyway, and then trigger a constitutional clash between the federal government, which has an interest in having the elected president serve in office, and the rights of the states. The states have the right to try people for crimes not in their official capacities. The sensible thing would be for this judge to suspend proceedings and let President Trump continue in office. But if he doesn't, then this will have to go up on appeal, and it will eventually get to the Supreme Court.
Hey, John, I've only got 30.
You just heard it right there. Like, everything that's happening in all the scenarios that could happen, this is pretty much going to go to the Supreme Court. Why? Because, again, too, after all the evidence that has been found and all that they've given, there's too many errors. We have the immunity ruling. This, and you just heard him say that Judge Merchan accelerated all of this because they knew the Supreme Court ruling was coming. They knew that the election was happening. This has 100% been targeted, and now we're finally seeing the truth.
Seconds, but I want to just kind of squeeze this in, the notion of the post-mortem on lawfare as we saw it over the last year or so. You know, you think it will be one of these experiments that were done and both sides agree just didn't work. It went against the ethos of America.
I totally agree with you, Charles. What this decision today shows by Judge Merchan, coming on a string of Trump victories in court, is that the whole lawfare campaign by the Democrats
right here
to prevent the people from rendering their judgment on President Trump in the ballot box and trying to funnel it into the courtroom with juries was a failure. But they have broken the norm of doing this, and you worry about how we're going to restore the rule of law going forward.
Yes, we do.
This is huge because remember, like, Trump's been winning big time with the immunity ruling, the case being delayed in Washington, D.C., the case being thrown out in Florida, and everybody is just getting fed up with this. A lot of people are saying, I'm done. I see that they're trying to target, the Democrats are trying to target Trump. They don't want people to vote for him. They don't want him to be on the ballot. It's not right. And you can't use the law to target people. That is not the United States of America. And now you're about to hear one of the most renowned Democrats to ever be a Democrat living, Alan Dershowitz, has come out and listened to what he has to say, because this is where Democrats said it's the final straw. I'm done. I'm leaving the party. Bye, Felicia. If you get that reference, then you're a real G. Oh, sorry.
People at the debate, at the standing outside of the convention center and screaming Hamas will win, screaming, "We are all Hamas," screaming. There was nothing wrong. October 7th.
1 second. I feel like there's something wrong going on with the video. 1 second. Sorry, y'all.
At the debate, screaming, there was nothing wrong with October 7th. What's wrong with October 7th? Somebody.
And if you don't remember October 7th, whenever they parasailed into Israel and literally killed how many people? Women, all this stuff, children, like, it was bad. It was so bad.
No, there aren't fine people, and they don't make fine points. And so I was disgusted at the Democratic National Convention. Absolutely disgusted.
We're speaking with Harvard Law Professor Emeritus Alan Avi Dershowitz. So are you ready to leave the Democratic Party?
Democratic Party. I am no longer a Democrat.
Ooh.
I am an independent. I'll decide who to vote for at the last minute based on totality of the circumstances. I want to see how they deal with Iran. I want to see how they deal if Iran attacks the United States. I want to encourage the current administration to support Israel. So I'm not revealing my vote until, maybe November 1st. Great to hear all the information, all the evidence, but I am no longer a member of the Democratic Party.
When did you resign the Democratic Party?
That is huge.
Well, gradually over time, I think a lot of things pushed me in that direction. Kamala Harris's failure to comply with her constitutional obligation to preside over the Senate and the House joint sessions for Netanyahu pushed me a lot over that. And what Joe Biden said pushed me over that. But I think the thing that really pushed me is how the Democrats conducted their convention. I cannot be associated with a party that features as its speakers AOC, Sharpton, Liz Warren, and Bernie Sanders. That's not my party.
Thank you for what?
I'm telling you, there's a great awakening happening. A lot of these Democrats, like lifelong Democrats, are leaving the Democratic Party. They're coming and they're joining Trump because why? They know that the Democratic Party is not the same like what it used to be with like JFK. On top of that, if you didn't know this is huge breaking news. So, and I just want to say it right here, I'm making it known, I am not one. This channel has never received any donation from Russia. We would never do that. We are 100% funded by YouTube. We have no other people that supports or sponsors this channel. It's only by the members in YouTube because they have come out. There's been 2,800 conservative, like host people that have essentially, allegedly accepted money from Russia. This is what's breaking news. This is what's coming out. But I just want to go ahead and say right here on the channel, we've never received a penny from them. We would never receive a penny from them. We are America first, right there. We support that. And here to tell you more about it is my good friend Dan. Check it out.
First, before I get to these explosive Secret Service stories, someone's going to get hurt. Someone else is going to get hurt. Someone's already been murdered, Corey Comparator, and 3 people been shot, including President Trump. Someone else is going to get hurt. I've been warning you, and again, more tips coming in. Folks, changes are not enough. They need more changes. So I wake up this morning, and I warned you yesterday that the DOJ, FBI, Russia collusion hoax 3.0, you know what, that AP article I was going to put at the end of the show, guys? I'm sorry, Justin. Can I ask you to throw that in the beginning? Where it just basically says, folks, this was targeted not to liberals. Liberals already believe, because they're freaking imbeciles, that the Russia hoax 1.0 and 2.0 are real. They still believe Donald Trump and Putin colluded to steal an election, and they still believe Hunter Biden's laptop was a Russian op. This was not targeted at them. To the GOP on-the-fence sitters, people who supported another candidate in a primary that lost, this was targeted at you. It was targeted at you to get you to believe that every conservative influencer and MAGA person out there was somehow influenced by Russia to support Trump.
This influencer, if that's what we are now, True Life News, we are not. We don't do anything with Russia whatsoever.
I cannot believe how many idiots fell in this trap. Look at this AP article. When you're saying the same thing the Associated Press, which are straight up communists, are saying, pardon my language.
Sorry, guys, I got to keep it clean.
Right-wing influencers were duped to work for covert Russian operation, U.S. says. Number one, these are just allegations. And by the way, to the left-wing dipshits, did you see this, Justin?
Sorry,
I didn't even follow an X yesterday. They're like, oh, Bongino's worried. Do I look? This is how dumb these people are, folks. If this is a pro-Trump Russia operation, like the morons on the left wanted you to believe, then why the hell was a woman alleged to be running it, according to the DOJ, I don't even trust, posting anti-Trump stuff? Here's Kanikoa the Great, a good account you might want to follow. The DOJ charged 2 Russians with funding Lauren Chen's Tenet Media, claiming they gave $10 million to influence U.S. politics. However, Chen has spent the last few months criticizing Trump for going, quote, weak on crime, immigration, and abortion, called Vance a blunder, and contributing to a, quote, total lack of enthusiasm. Here's the tweets, Justin Hart and GOP grift. Too stupid to do your own homework? Here's a tweet knocking Trump. Here's another one. Flip through them so you can see them yourself.
Crazy.
Trump is going weak on crime, immigration, abortion. This is your pro-Trump operation? Here's another one knocking Trump. This is your conservative movement? I'm out. If this is a pro-Trump operation, it's the worst one I've ever seen. Here's another one for you. They go on and on. Dave is a friend. Benny is a friend. Tim Pool's a friend. Knock them all you want on whatever, not having a business lawyer look at a deal. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this too on the show today, because you're not going to hear this from anyone else, because the grifter, swampy GOP class is too busy writing op-eds, waiting to open a door for mama to deliver their oatmeal for breakfast because they've never had a real freaking job. To the GOP sitting on your obese, adipose tissue, Ozempic, you've never had a real job. Listen to me. I have actual real money in the game. You can look. I'm invested in publicly traded companies. You'll see how much is involved. Am I trying to impress you? I don't give a shit impressing you. I'm stating a simple fact. I have actual skin in this game as an investor in the parallel economy. I have been under attack by the deep state forever, and I've got a mound of receipts to back it up. You have no idea what happened with Parler. None. With my parallel economy, paralleleconomy.com is mine. Rumble, I'm a huge investor in this. Why? Because I put my money into the free speech parallel economy. That's why.
And this is huge. Like, a lot of people have been accusing, Dan Bongino and other big influencers over what? Over lying, saying that they've been pushing this Trump propaganda, all this disinformation and whatnot. But what we just showed you is that the very person who supposedly is, allegedly all this $10 million Russia money, she's been slamming Trump multiple times. And then Bongino's like, look, I pay for everything myself. I put all my money in myself to our company, and I don't have anything to do with Russia, because I'm telling you, 2,800 conservative voices. This is crazy. I like just even saying this of right before the election, all of them saying that these people, which not a part of it, we never received anything from Russia, only YouTube, that they are the ones who have been pushing this disinformation. Russia's been paying this off, and everybody's essentially on the conservative side has been lying to the public. But what I don't get is that the President of the United States today came out and admitted to a lie. We pay so much more for everything when it comes to gas prices, grocery prices, houses, cars, everything, insurance, mortgage, all this. And just admitted to the American people, wasn't reading the teleprompter, but was talking off script and said that the Inflation Reduction Act was not about inflation whatsoever. It's sickening. It's disgusting. It's lying straight to the face of the American people. And the only reason that he admitted it is because, again, He's losing it up here. Listen to him for yourself. Check it out.
Is headed to the key battleground state of Michigan today to tout his Investing in America agenda. But 2 years ago, Biden was saying this about his so-called Inflation Reduction Act.
The fact is that my message to Congress is this. This is the strongest bill you can pass to lower inflation, cut the deficit, reduce health care costs, tackle the climate crisis, and promote energy security.
You just heard him say that this bill is to cut inflation, lower the deficit. It's the Inflation Reduction Act. Listen to this.
All the time while reducing the burdens facing working class and middle class families.
So that was the promise, but now Biden's admitting that the legislation, it just wasn't about inflation. It was really about his climate agenda.
You know, I'm proud to announce that my investments, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever, and by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called the, we should have named it what it was, but at any rate.
You know,
Can you
Charlie, it
believe
sounds like a
this?
tacit admission of the screen we're about to put up that inflation went from 1.4% when he came into office to 9.1%. It's an admission that inflation is with us now around 3%.
Yeah, the Inflation Explosion Act. It's all so
I like that.
dishonest. And, you know, and if you
Very
remember at
dishonest.
the time, the reason they called it this and not the Green New Deal, when we were all trying to call it the Green New Deal, is because they knew that the Green New Deal couldn't get passed. So they killed us for calling it the Green New Deal. But and he's admitting now, that is what it was. It was the Green New Deal under a different name, and then the name turned out also to be a complete lie.
So his tacit admission about inflation came 3 days after his press secretary said this.
Wow.
Oh, yes, we've talked about this. We have seen, now to be clear, we have seen grocery prices come down over the past year or more, and so that is important. And a lot of that is the work that's been done from this administration.
Fact check, Kennedy. Groceries are 21% more expensive than when he came into office.
Yes, absolutely. And tell that to shoppers. You know, this is one of those things that's so incredibly offensive to working families because they know they haven't gotten a raise. Their groceries and rent are still more expensive, and it's harder than ever to make ends meet. And that is what matters to them. You know, they don't. When you're shopping for eggs, like Emily was last weekend, and you realize they're $10 a dozen, you're not thinking, but I'm so glad the climate is in better shape. I mean, they should have named it the Cellulite Reduction Act because no one likes cellulite either.
The Cellulite Reduction Act or the Inflation Explosion Act. I like this.
No, I think that's what you called it, right, Charlie? Look, I think it's fascinating that Biden was trying to say the quiet part out loud. He still couldn't articulate it, which is why he's not on the top of the ticket. But at least he's now warming up to the fact that maybe he should come clean about this. Look, this is all legacy for him.
I'm
And
telling
if
you.
this is the only way we get the truth, that's really sad. Because if Kamala Harris now wants to peddle that she's distancing herself from him and that they're not quite the same, then she's going to have to tell us what was broken about Bidenomics and about the Inflation Reduction Act and about anything else that she tries to take credit for underneath him, and how they were always, you know, in the same room together. She was the last person in the room, no daylight between them. If she wants to peddle now that they're not the same, then what is her better idea? And how often did she tell the president that he was wrong?
During the debate, if I was Trump, I would literally look over to Kamala Harris and say, you know what? That Inflation Reduction Act, which your boss just said wasn't about reducing inflation, but was a climate bill, why don't you go ahead and tell the American people about that? Because he lied to their face, you lied to their faces, and they need to know the truth. That's what I would do if I was Trump. Let me know your thoughts.
An ABC debate moderator should press her on that. But sure they won't, Emily.
That's absolutely right. And, you know, this is a reminder why in the majority of the swing states, if not all, President Trump is leading on the issue of economy and resoundly so against Vice President Harris. But the whole point is, well, for those who are brainwashed or washed at all by there's nothing to see here, guys, it was the Inflation Reduction Act. And don't worry about that price. I fear that there are many Americans that are. And so it's so incumbent upon us to keep spreading the truth, spreading the message to all of your friends and family to go out and vote clear-eyed, because nothing will change unless there is a change in the White House.
100%. And I feel like that's coming. So Nate Silver came out, said that that Trump is winning in Pennsylvania by over 20 points. That's what they're projected. They have over 40,000 simulations that say that Trump's going to win in Pennsylvania by over 20 points as of now. Hey, veteran U.S. Navy, thank you so much for joining the community. Remember, it's only 99 cents per month. You follow the links in the description. We're going to take that money and we're going to go out into this world and we're going to do positive things because this world is too crazy and we need some positive action in this world. But right now, the sentencing for Trump has been delayed, but now Hunter Biden. Check this out.
Well, it's been a huge week for courtroom drama, and now huge legal developments will be happening after the election. Trump's New York sentencing now will be on November 26th, and Hunter Biden's sentencing will be coming in December, as many wonder whether a pardon will be coming for him soon after. To Peter Ducey with the latest from the White House. Peter.
Charles, for months, the official line here at the White House has been what it continues to be today, that President Biden would rather let his son rot away in some jail cell at a federal penitentiary than use the power of the pardon while he still has it.
Will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon?
Now remember, when he said yes, he was still running for president. Now that he's not, I bet you, let's take the bets. This dude is going to pardon his son in a heartbeat. Because what does he have to lose? He's not running for president anymore.
For your son?
Yes.
Hunter is going to be sentenced now in December and says, I will not subject my family to more pain, more invasions of privacy, and needless embarrassment. For all I have put them through over the years, I can spare them this, and so I have decided to plead guilty. And it's worth noting that White House officials this week are warning of Russian disinformation in this presidential election.
Wow.
However, their official company line has been, and still is, that Hunter's laptop is Russian disinformation.
Wow. Hey, Jennifer Wallace, thank you so much for joining our community. And Shane England, thank you so much for the super chat. Show veteran U.S. Navy, Jennifer Wallace, and Shane England some love in the chat, everybody.
The stories from the fall about your son Hunter were Russian disinformation at a smear campaign, like you said.
Yes. God love you, man. You're a one-horse pony. I promise you, my Justice Department will be totally on its own, making its judgments about how they should proceed.
So President Biden says now he's not going to pardon or commute Hunter. But remember, he also told us just this summer that he was not going to drop out of the presidential election, and he did. Charles.
Peter Ducey, great points at the White House. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity
This
here.
is huge. So now that Hunter Biden's 9 counts against him, everybody's saying that the reason that Biden is going to pardon him is because there was things in there that tie Biden to Hunter. So if Hunter gets pardoned and he's not going to jail, then they can essentially go after Joe Biden. Tell me what you think about this, because I'm telling you, this is nuts. I've never imagined that we'd be in this place seeing what we're seeing now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Well, some blatant and jaw-dropping dishonesty from Team Kamala and the media. The Associated Press taking J.D. Vance completely out of context over comments the senator made about the tragic school shooting in Georgia that killed 4 people. The AP blasting out this bogus headline that reads, quote, J.D. Vance says school shootings are a fact of life, calls for better security. But here's what Vance actually said.
I don't like that this is a fact of life. But if you are a psycho and you want to make headlines, you realize that our schools are soft targets. And we have got to bolster security at our schools. We've got to bolster security so that if a psycho wants to walk through the front door and kill a bunch of children, they're not able to.
100%.
Thankfully, AP's outright dishonesty quickly got exposed. They fixed their headline, deleting the tweet and adding that Vance laments school shooting. But the damage was done. Kamala's campaign and Hillary Clinton sending out tweets that amplified the smear. And despite the overwhelming media bias against Republicans, the crew over at Morning Joe somehow thinks the press has a pro-Trump bias.
But there's a false equivalency going on in the coverage of this race.
in that Donald Trump can say whatever crazy things he wants to say. And always in that story, in the equivalency, the false equivalency by too many reporters and too many American newspapers, there's also, by the way, Kamala Harris changed her mind on fracking. They always throw in something like that in coverage of the story. It's ridiculous. We don't cover the man for how dangerous he is.
They're objective, and I put that word in quotes. Their objectivity actually is not objective at all. It ends up.
Can you believe what these people are saying? That the media is pro-Trump? What reality are we living in? Is the pigs flying? Are the I mean, this is just nuts. Is the opera lady singing?
Playing to Donald Trump's advantage every day because they are so numbed by the hate speech that is spewed out of his mouth for the past 9 years.
Trump's at least speaking for himself, Greg. But I want to come to you first on this AP headline because the Associated Press is a wire service. It's supposed to be objective, fact-based news. And they put this out there and the damage was done.
Well, as you can see by Morning Joe, you don't have to be objective, and AP has adopted that. This is the Fine People hoax, the sequel. It's only different because it didn't have the luxury of old Twitter, where the lie is protected and amplified to a point where it's accepted as a fact and takes 4 to 6, 7 years to debunk. So you should be thankful to Musk for taking Twitter out into the woods and shooting it in the head and saving the First Amendment, because this thing would not be debunked. That's the only reason why it went down, was because 100%. People called it out. And then, of course, you know, I think what's her face? Kamala still has it up there. Mm-hmm. And then Hillary had to do something about it, but at least she's not killing anybody. But whenever I look at Morning Joe, I'm amazed how far their heads are up their asses, because they claim being unbiased is wrong, but they're saying it from a biased perspective. So if you defend bias from a position of bias, then it's immediately discounted. It's like taking out your eyeballs to see what color they are. It doesn't work. They're exactly like the people who argue against free speech by using free speech. If we listened to them and took their advice, we'd arrest them. So I worry about those little people in the mornings. Mm-hmm. You know, I worry about them. They are so mentally unwell that they can't even see what they're talking about. They need help.
So, Jesse, in terms of what Vance was offering, he was offering a solution, and yet the Associated Press still decided to lie about it.
I'm used to it, Katie. Constantly people taking me out of context, and I'm looking at you, Jessica. I mean, just yesterday I was talking about how if we became a healthier country, we wouldn't need to spend so much money on getting us healthier. We'd just be healthier. And she accused me of wanting to cut Medicare. It's not what I said.
Actually what
I've been stewing about it the whole night.
I kept you up?
It actually didn't get me up.
Wow.
I sleep well. They don't sleep well. This is supposed to be a really happy crew. They have a lot of coffee in the morning. They got a great new candidate, Kamala Harris. They say the country's in great shape. Why aren't they happy about anything? And they're complaining about media bias on Morning Joe. That's crazy. Donald Trump has gotten 90% negative coverage. Mm-hmm. It's already been analyzed. She's gotten 90% positive coverage, and they're complaining about it. Now, you expect MSNBC to take you out of context. You don't expect the Associated Press. They're a wire service. You're right. They're supposed to play it straight. I went to Yahoo by accident yesterday, and you just see the front page. Yeah. And, there's 6 pictures of Trump with, a Hitler mustache. Mm-hmm. And then there's, one thing about how Kamala Harris is best friends with Waltz, and they're going to make stew on Saturday.
Wow.
It's so unfair.
Yeah, and yes, it
I'm
is.
not complaining, because we're just going to run right through it and win. And when I say we, I mean the American people, because I'm not a Republican. I'm just an American.
And
Good
you are
for
objective,
you.
just like the Associated Press. Jessica, your name was invoked. Would you like to respond?
I would like to talk about how Jesse and Donald Trump want to cut Medicare, but that's
I just want to make us healthy.
Biden already cut Medicare?
Okay.
He did.
Reducing Medicare spending would be the result of having a healthier country.
Get the country
You get
moving.
healthy
Michelle
first,
Obama
then
and
you
Jesse
spend
Waters
less.
teaming up to get us healthy.
Make America
Great arms.
healthy again.
Okay.
Wow.
So I hate when this happens, because you lose the argument, you lose the discourse about how you feel about combating school shootings. And even if you took what he actually said, you could still then say J.D. Vance's solution is not what the American people want. The American people want universal background checks. The American people want stricter red flag laws. They want to raise the age at which you're able to buy a firearm. But instead, this is what's going on. And
they want security, which Kamala doesn't.
Okay.
Just putting it out there.
It's crazy. I even agree with everybody, and yet you still have to disagree.
No, I disagreed with everything.
Let me tell you this. What I wish they would do, tell me if you agree with me in the chat, because it breaks my heart. You know, I've got kids, and I couldn't ever fathom. I don't even want to think about it if something was to happen with what's happened over the past couple of days at these schools. All the hundreds of billions of dollars that we send overseas, why don't we go ahead and protect our schools with people that have the right arms to protect our kids, use that money to protect our own kids? Why don't they put a bill to do that? That is, to me, common sense. There are too many, like when you have 300 million people, the odds is that there's going to be an idiot who does some stupid stuff like that, and I would rather us spend the hundreds of billions of dollars to protect our kids than keep sending it overseas. Let me know your thoughts.
Said about what Americans want.
Oh, but that's what it polls
You left out the number one thing, which is hardening soft targets. That's what everybody wants.
Is the number one thing.
Yeah, but the immediate softening in schools that are that open, they're not like city schools in one building. They're basically open targets. You need to have security. Kamala Harris said she didn't feel comfortable having armed people at school.
Well, a lot of
yeah, and if you didn't know that, it literally came out of Kamala Harris's mouth that she wants to remove police officers from schools.
People, including most of the folks who are actually teachers, don't think that it's their job to know how to use a firearm and that they shouldn't have to be running
That's why you have
drills with
somebody there, a veteran.
Of course there are some. Look, I'm trying to be reasonable, but that is over because I want to say something about
That's reasonable.
This cover. So the point that Barnacle was making, and I think it was really showcased yesterday. Trump did a press conference and these childcare comments, which we discussed yesterday on the show, but the New York Times and the AP, for instance, ran headlines that were completely unreflective of what he had said. They had, in this term that's floating around now, is called sane washing it. So they came out with headlines that said, Donald Trump says, no, it's a real thing that's happening, where they looked at a stream of consciousness that he said, and they picked out 7 words that actually make sense, and they slammed them together.
You mean like what they did with Biden when they cleaned up the transcripts?
Right here.
Just try to move the goalposts. This is what I'm saying, and this is what they were commenting on MSNBC. If you consider the fact that Kamala Harris had a reputation for being incompetent, word salads all the time, how many times do we hear about the passage of time, unburdened by what has been? That's because the media for Kamala Harris was quoting her directly or talking about, well, why isn't she cogent on this? But Donald Trump gets up there and he says, my child care solution is Marco Rubio, Ivanka, thank you. Child care isn't actually that expensive. Thank you. Tariffs. And suddenly he gave a normal press conference. And that's what people are talking about.
Okay, well, at least Donald Trump is getting up, Judge.
Yeah,
and speaking
the only
for
people
himself,
talking about that
the
are
reason
the
why,
media blogs.
The reason why she has a reputation for word salads is because that's what is on video of her speaking for herself, Judge, and she hasn't come out and done that for herself throughout this campaign.
That's the truth. And the Democrats have a problem with the truth. Remember, this is the group that brought us the Russia collusion for 4 years, of which there was none. And these people are now employed by MSNBC and CNN, and they gave each other Pulitzer Prizes. For them, truth is irrelevant. And so the only thing that matters is the agenda to make sure that their person gets into power. And, you know, this whole thing about the way they took this and they made it a headline. They make it a headline, but if you listen to the soundbite, it clearly isn't, you know, I really don't care about what's going on at the schools. And yet you have this woman, Julie Pace, who's the executive editor of Associated Press. If you listen to the soundbite, there is no way you can misinterpret what was said. No way. If she had any journalistic standards whatsoever, she would not have allowed that to pass. But it's no longer about journalistic standards. It's about winning at any cost. cost. And remember, Kamala is of the administration of cheap fakes and misinformation and disinformation and government oversight. And so, you know, for them, it's like we have to decide what the truth is. And I just want to say one thing about Joe Scarborough and MSNBC. This is the guy who 1 month ago said that Joe Biden was on top of his game. Quote, he's the best Biden ever, as good as it gets. And this is a quote, F you if you call Biden old. If you don't think those people are so sunk into making sure that Kamala gets elected and they don't care about the truth, it's irrelevant.
I'm telling you this, if there's anything that I'm thankful for this year is I feel like a lot of the mainstream media has been called out. A lot of the mainstream media are, everybody's seeing them for what they really were. They tried to cover up Biden. They tried to cover up that you know, he wasn't in decline or anything like that. And guess what? He was. And now they put in Kamala Harris, and she's no better. Like, are you kidding me? She can't be the president of the United States. But I'm telling you this, if you don't know what I'm about to show you, we've got a bigger problem on our hand. It was orchestrated by the Biden-Harris administration, and it is this right here. Over the past, check this out. Look at the amount of workers in blue. This is foreign-born employment. So this is immigrants. This is not U.S. citizens. Look in 2020, when everything stopped in 2020 because of the pandemic, theirs spiked up exponentially. What else happened in this same time? Biden becomes president, stops building the border wall, allows 10 million plus immigrants to come in. Look at the red, which is the native born, the actual U.S. citizens getting jobs is declining while immigrants is increasing. This is nuts. Hey, Woodbury Hill Studio, happy Friday to you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Everybody show Woodbury Hill Studio some love in the chat. So, this is a huge, huge problem. We are feeling it now. People are feeling it now, especially with housing, that illegal immigrants that are not U.S. citizens are essentially taking things that would have been for United States citizens. And this has all been orchestrated by the Biden-Harris administration. Check this out.
All right, the lesson in today's jobs report is let a growthier President Trump finish his job. That's the subject of the riff. Today's jobs report, weaker than expected, soggy, soft.
Hey, and Woodbury Hill Studio said, and another 5 from my husband at Dr. Hill because our cat is watching bird videos on this phone. Hey, thank you so much for your support. Appreciate you very much.
Once again, past months revised down. Why are all these jobs evaporating?
Right here.
Remember, the BLS evaporated over 800,000 jobs in their latest benchmark revision, and actually, today's number for non-farm payrolls isn't really 142,000, which was lighter than expected. It's 142,000 minus the 86,000 downward revision, which means only 86,000 new corporate payroll jobs. Or, wait a second, look at private payrolls, which is more important. The reported number is 118,000, weak, soft. But June and July will revise lower by 62,000, which means actually private payrolls in August were a measly 56,000. It's barely positive.
That is very bad.
Healthcare and social assistance, both of which are essentially government-sponsored jobs, and government jobs themselves, well, that came to 68,000, which is 80% of the so-called August jobs increase. It's all government. I'd say it's pretty poor, wouldn't you? It's not a recession exactly, but it sure looks like the front end of a recession, which is why the stock market is badly in the red today. This is one of those days where bad news is, in fact, bad news. And we've had quite a few of these recently, haven't we? Bad news on manufacturing, bad news on housing. Now, I've got a much better idea. Take a listen to this.
A combination of fair trade, tax cuts, regulatory cuts, and energy abundance will allow us to produce more goods better and cheaper right here in the USA than we've ever done before. And foreign nations will respect us again.
There we go. That, of course, Mr. Donald Trump speaking at the Economic Club of New York yesterday, an optimistic speech about American renewal, unleashing prosperity, a growthier speech.
Yes.
Kamala Democrats never talk growth. Biden Democrats never talk growth. But when Republicans talk growth, they win. A recent Kudlow TIP poll asked how important is economic growth to help individuals climb the ladder of success? Answer, get this, 60%, very important. 30%, somewhat important. That is 90% pro-growth. And I want to say, my friends at the TIP poll have the most accurate poll according to the data. 90% pro-growth. So, if Mr. Trump keeps hammering away on the growth theme, he's going to be a winner. Now, here's Mr. Trump yesterday, again, hammering the growth message home. Take a listen.
We're going to have tremendous growth. What I'm talking about is all about growth. We're going to make our money back on growth. We're going to also, we're going to grow like nobody's ever grown before.
Just keep it up. You can't say enough about growth. You know what? Growth means 400,000 or 500,000 new private sector jobs per month, not 56,000. Growth.
Did y'all hear that? Only after the revised numbers, only 56,000. And if you didn't know, what they try to forecast is like 250,000 new jobs. That's what keeps our economy growing. That's what keeps, the United States #1. When we're at 50,000, why do you think you saw at the bottom it said recession fears? This is where we need somebody who has built businesses, who has made money, not career politicians, but just think about the dream team. You get Trump in there, who's built successful businesses. You bring Elon Musk in there, who bought Twitter, fired 90% of all the workers, and then with 10% of the company is doing better than what they were doing before. And with Elon Musk heading and auditing the entire federal government to cut fat, cut government spending, make government smaller, that means more money in Americans' pockets. When you think about Vivek Ramaswamy, who's built a $700-800 billion business. When you think about Rfk Jr. on health, the dream team is what we need. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching, and thank you to everybody that is subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And thank you to all of our new members on the channel. Remember, the links are in the description. It's only 99 cents per month. We have a goal, 10,000 members. We want to take that money that the members pay every month and go out into this world, make positive change. We're going to video record it, and we're going to show you, and this community is going to come together to do some amazing, great things. That's what I believe. I know we're going to do it, and we're going to spread the truth. Want to thank Woodbury Hill Studio for their super chats. Thank y'all, Shane England, for the super chats. Guys, y'all bless my family so much, and we are so thankful and so grateful for every single one of you. And just want to say that we are here to serve you. We need more politicians to say that, but here on True Life, we're going to serve you every day. We love you, thank you, and we will see you in the next.